Does your child get really frustrated during games? Do they say things like, I'm just not good at this? Well, that's going to be a fixed mindset. And to see athletes succeed, especially younger athletes, we need to work on developing a growth mindset. And that's exactly what we're going to go over in this episode. Hey there, I'm Eli Straw, a mental performance coach who works with athletes from around the world on building a stronger mental game. Now, the difference between a fixed mindset and a growth mindset in sports is that a fixed mindset says things like, I'm just not good at this. It's feeling like you have to be born with the skill, or you need to already be good enough in order to succeed. But a growth mindset sees skills as things that we can develop. We see mistakes as opportunities to improve. And so really we're seeing the performance process as this continual process of improving and getting better no matter how good we are today. And when a younger athlete can develop that growth mindset where they're seeing themselves as athletes who can continually improve, not only will they improve more, but they're going to have more fun within their sport as well. So there are 5 tips that I have for you today that will help you develop a growth mindset in your younger athlete. And tip number 1 is that we want to praise effort, not just results. So a growth mindset sees skills and athletic performance as buildable in a way, right? Where we're always growing, we are always improving. One of the challenges to having a growth mindset is being so focused on the results. And this is where we see perfectionism take over in younger athletes, where they feel like they have to be perfect today to prove that they are good enough. And whenever coaches or parents are praising only results, it's easy for a younger athlete to associate their worth within their sport with the result. Now, we know that at a competitive level, and youth sports are becoming increasingly more competitive, the results matter. So it's not that we're saying results don't matter, and it's not that you never want to praise results, but we want to make sure that the focal point of praise is on effort and the process parts of their game more than the results. And a very simple way to go about guiding yourself to give this correct type of praise or better type of praise when it comes to developing a growth mindset is to ask yourself, am I encouraging my younger athlete based on what they can control or based on things out of their control? And within sports, the result is not fully within an athlete's control, but things like their effort, their attitude, how hard they're practicing, how well they did with bouncing back from a mistake and still having good body language out there. Those are all parts of the process that are in the young athlete's control. So that's the first tip that I have for you. You want to make sure that you're praising effort, not just the results. Tip number 2 is you want to normalize mistakes and the setbacks that they are inevitably going to face within their game. And what I mean by normalizing mistakes is not that we are ever telling the young athlete that they want to make mistakes, but we want to help them realize that mistakes are normal. Mistakes are helpful if we learn from them. And most importantly, mistakes don't mean that they're not good enough. Like I was saying earlier when I was defining that fixed mindset as feeling like, I have to be perfect today, otherwise I'll never be good at this. When we see mistakes as an indication that we're not good, that keeps us from improving, and it also leads to more fear of making mistakes because we don't want to, none of us want to feel like we're not good enough. And when an athlete is performing with the fear of making mistakes, they will inevitably hold themselves back. But when they can see mistakes as a natural part of the game and they can work on learning and improving because of those mistakes and because of the setbacks they're going to face, then they are primed to be in a position to push through and to actually improve because of the mistakes they make. Tip number 3 is you want to really focus on the power of yet. So that goes along with the last tip that I had about normalizing mistakes. We want to work on helping the younger athletes see themselves as improving, which means they have to say things like, I'm not good at this yet. I'm not as strong as I'm going to be yet. I'm not as fast as I'm going to be yet. But when they understand the power of yet, they realize that they can work toward that. They can work toward becoming stronger. They can work toward being quicker on their feet. They can work toward developing more of these skills that they need within their game. But when they see it as either I am good at this or I'm not good at this, we won't see as much effort and motivation put toward growth. But when they adopt this yet mindset, we're going to see them working toward improving a lot more. Tip number 4 is you want to model this growth mindset yourself. And this goes off of the idea that, kids, especially, just younger athletes in general, they're going to adopt your attitude and your mindset in the way you look at the world, and especially the way you look at sports. So if you're able to communicate with them in a way that really focuses on this growth mindset, whether that's within, the sports that you play or the fitness that you do or the work that you do, or when it comes to the way you are communicating with them, it is very important, going back to that first tip about focusing on effort, not the results. It's really important that you are communicating in a way and embodying this growth mindset, because it's going to be much easier for the young athlete to adopt the growth mindset for themselves if they're also seeing you put a lot of focus on the growth mindset. And then tip number 5 is you want to create a safe space for risk taking. What this really means is that when you're practicing with your younger athlete, you want them to really feel like pushing themselves and getting out of their comfort zone and trying new things and working on new skills and working on new mechanics. You want them to see that as okay in terms of failing. Because in order for any young athlete to improve, they have to fail, and they have to take the risks that are going to lead to failure in the short term. But if there's a lot of judgment and a lot of criticism placed on the result, once again, and there's a lot of frustration focused on what they're not good at right now or the mistakes they are making right now, it will be very hard for them to see risk taking as an option. But throughout my work within one-on-one coaching, I work with a lot of younger athletes on developing this comfort with risk taking, because they have to take these risks in order to see how good they are right now. But most importantly, they have to take these risks in order to improve and to get better. But again, when there's this aversion to mistakes, because we see mistakes as purely negative, and mistakes lead to coach yelling at me, my parents getting mad at me and feeling disappointed in me, then we're going to find the young athlete playing timid and holding themselves back, and that's never a recipe for them performing their best. So in summary, the main tips that you want to focus on to help your young athlete develop this growth mindset are to praise effort, not results; normalize mistakes, so help them see mistakes as something to use to learn; teach the power of yet, right? So I'm not good yet, but I'm working on it. Focus on this growth mindset for yourself. And then lastly, encourage this risk taking by creating this safe environment where there's not so much negativity and frustration focused on the mistakes, and not a lot of judgment focused on mistakes. And you're just helping them see that, they have to push themselves, they have to take risks, and it's okay to make mistakes right now as long as they're working to get better. Now, if you are interested in a more in-depth and direct approach to helping your young athlete develop a growth mindset or just improve any mental skill in general, I do offer one-on-one coaching for younger athletes. So if you're interested in learning more about that, I've put a link to it in the description below. And I also have an online course specific for younger athletes titled The Mentally Tough Kid, and I've put a link to that in the description below as well. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. I hope these tips are helpful to you with working to get your younger athlete to develop more of a growth mindset. And I wish you the best of success in all that you do.